When I was growing up, weddings always meant these big, elaborate meals. You know, the kind where you'd start with some soup and move on to like sea cucumber. And then there was always the classic Peking duck with those like white buns that you'd put together yourself. But what I really loved was towards the end, where everything was winding down and you just spent some time eating some sweet pudding. We called it jia. Or snack on some orange slices while you just relished in the moment, the contentedness of it all. That's what an ED feels like to me. The perfect end to a satisfying experience, the slice of orange after a hearty meal. Here are your nominees for Best ED of 2023.
And the jury winner is Anytime, Anywhere, Freyrin Beyond Journey's End. And the public winner is Mephisto, Oshinoko.
Now, I called EDs a slice of orange at the end of a meal. Would you agree with that, Craftsdwarf? What do you look for when you look at ED?
So I'm a fraud. I tend to just kind of like let the ending play while I like, update my mail or check Twitter.
Tis
But
tis.
but I will say this category for presenting, I did go out of my way to watch and really dig into these endings. And it did sort of make me appreciate not only these endings more, but just one of the things I like in a lot of the longer shows I watch because, yeah, absolutely, having them as a nice, just like an orange after the end of the meal, just a nice palate cleanser, and it's just something, especially with like the Jujutsu Kaisen ones where, rough season, so nice, light, just slice of lifey kind of need that, But one of the things I really appreciate about EDs, more thinking about it more, is just how if an opening isn't it's not just meant to hype you up for the show, but it's also meant to represent the show in a way. Endings have a bit more freedom. They can be more stylistic in some ways, like especially like shows with lots of endings like Aikatsu or Boruto or Chainsaw Man. They can all do these different things. And I think the Freyren ending is one of the ones from this batch that really exemplifies that because it's so striking, like instantly. It's like, oh wow, all right, and it's just very stand out. And I think it's a very fair pick for winner. It was definitely one of my favorites from this batch.
At the same time, it really does carry the themes of the show itself, don't you
Oh,
think?
that too, absolutely. I haven't even seen the show, but I know enough about it that it's like, oh, yep, they're cyclical life and death and continuing on anyway. And yep, for sure. Like it even without the context of the show, I was able to get the narrative from the ending in itself. And a number of other endings also very much carried the spirit of the show, like Red Birthmark or Why One Hit the Mewtwo Platonic from One Hit Kill Sister. Like just it's just really like, oh yeah, this is it. This is the show, isn't it? To a degree, of course. Like that.
What were you guys talking about, Caleb, when you were looking at these?
Most of what we talk about, I'd say, is like the visual aspect is heavily involved, and then obviously the song is quite important. If the song is terrible, it's kind of hard to recover from, I think. But I'd say the majority is going through and having great visuals or something unique from a narrative perspective or from a visual perspective. And obviously having good synchronization to the music with the visuals is something that I personally really, really enjoy. And I know some others in the jury also look out for that too.
And you think Free Run accomplished that?
Yeah, it wasn't my personal pick for number one, but with the jury picks, pretty much from our top 6, we all liked them a lot. I've been in the category a couple times up to this point, and this was probably like the hardest vote for the group in many years because we had so many great nominees. And honestly, any of them in our top 6 could have won, and it wouldn't have surprised me too much. Like they were all so good.
What was your personal favorite?
My personal favorite would probably be the Onimai ED just because of how expressive it was from an animation perspective, and it portrayed the atmosphere of the show pretty much perfectly. There wasn't really anything super narrative or crazy going on, but just the way they made the visuals flow, and it was like super personable and just fit perfectly. It was amazing.
Was that also your favorite Craftsdwarf?
Actually, for some reason, my favorite was Red Birthmark. I haven't seen the show, but gave me chills, and I just wanted to learn. Like, but again, I even like there's so many that I think are also just really good and solid, and like I don't think I disliked any of them necessarily. Like I want to say at least for to give a little credit to Mephisto, which is the lowest ranking in the jury category, but the highest one publicly. It does do a thing I really just kind of like have a weakness for in that it starts playing the ending before the episodes end, and it's always like a couple other shows that do that are like Kokoro Connector, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but it always like it works for me. It's I'm a little weak to that, I suppose, and just I guess in that way, like the way the ending sort of caps off the episode, less in a wind down sense and almost more in a hype up sense. But it's with the cliffhangers, it's effective, I think.
It's effective when I always think of that like Mimi Clannad after story moment where the the big thing happens and the ending comes in. You know what I'm talking about? No,
I haven't seen the show, but I think I know does it involve Dongo or is that
it's a
different?
different
Okay, different
moment.
one, different one. Never mind.
No, it's hilarious. Basically, it's just like like after story can be a very solemn, serious moment, but the ED is very cheery. So you kind of like, I mean, it's if anything, it's kind of an example of what not to do from what we've been talking about, where you're like in this certain frame of mind, and all of a sudden it's like do 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 do, and you're like, come on, I didn't need that right now. Yeah, so why exactly is Mephisto so low in the jury, Caleb?
I think the general consensus of why it was so low is the visuals were not up to par with most of the rest of the category. I think some people thought the narrative of it with like the red string of fate and showing them kind of walking through a dark and dreary place for most of the ED like fit the narrative of the show, with Oshinoko being like kind of dark and twisted and stuff. Not to go into any spoilers, but outside of kind of the narrative aspect, we didn't think the visuals were great because there was like a lot of walk cycles going on, and the song was kind of a little like upbeat compared to the kind of dark and dreary visual aspect. So it was kind of like off-putting, I guess, a little bit there. But I don't think we thought it was terrible. Just probably the worst pick of what we had got, but not bad, if that makes sense.
And especially compared to all these really for something that I really value is like a sense of uniqueness, right? Especially with EDs, like Kraftwerk said, you have more freedom to be kind of like different and kind of experimenty, right? So
Right.
take that compared to something like Spy Family's ED, which is this like super cute, like paper craft aesthetic that's just so fun. And then I love the moment at the end where it's all revealed to be like kind of her drawing. I don't know. I think it's a really sweet moment.
Yeah, we all talked about that as well. We really liked how it's basically a drawing that Anya has created throughout the whole ED, and it reveals at the end that she did it. It's really, really cute.
All right. So, from both of you, any last words about EDs this year?
I do want to say though that I really did like G Witch's ED a lot too. The vocal performance on that is probably one of the best I've like ever heard. Like when the chorus breaks out, it's awesome.
Yeah, like I said before, lots of good. I enjoyed all of these. Some of them are making me consider watching shows that I didn't really have my eye on before. All interesting in different ways. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope this serves as a message to you, Craftsdwarf specifically, to watch EDs. I'll be checking in on you, and for our audience of the majesty and the beauty they can contain. But thank you so much to both of you for joining me, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, guys.